Hi, everybody. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy, a Passionate World Talk Radio Network, where we educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guests may not represent those of the host or the station. Folks, I have two public service announcements. One, it is National Alzheimer's Month. So if you or anyone who has any type of dementia, post on your page, your media. Show this disease. Show the person. Let's personalize it. That's what we have to do. We have to personalize it and educate others about Alzheimer's and other dementias. And it's also National Caregivers Month, which I think should be every month. We need to honor caregivers, both professional and personal. So if you know a caregiver, show some extra love to them and their children. And children are caregivers. And we can teach them life's valuable lessons because we are their role models. Well, speaking of professional caregivers, I have with me today a special guest. Oh, my guests are special. My guest today is Quan Brewington. She is the Community Liaison for Caregiver Homes, which is located in Worcester. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Massachusetts. Welcome, Quan, to Chatting with Betsy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, you got it close. I have to tell you, Worcester, Massachusetts. Everybody gets that town wrong, so no worries at all. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. People get my hometown wrong, too. It's Island, but people say Iceland, so that's okay. We have fun here on Chatting with Betsy. So, Quan, I want to thank Jeannie White for introducing us and connecting us. I'd like to ask you, what is a community liaison? What do you do for the caregiver homes?
So, my role as community liaison, which I love doing, so I was, first of all, a care manager for about 5 years doing the type of program that I currently do. And then I transitioned to a community liaison because I just love so much what my program is about, is that basically a community liaison is what I do now is to just find all the different resources that's out there in the community and share it with the families that's in the program that I currently have. And I share it also with all the my team, so all the clinical staff that's with the company, so registered nurses and care managers and social workers. So I pretty much partner with everybody in the community, and we share resources, basically, so that way we can help take care of families inside the home and make sure they receive the proper support and care needed.
And as caregiver homes only in Massachusetts?
No. Caregiver's Home is, each state has their own rules and regulations, so the program may be different in different states, but we're currently located in 8 states right now.
Is New Jersey one of them? I have to ask because I live in New Jersey.
No, unfortunately, I had that question asked before, but no. Not yet. Well, we're hoping to expand, but, with the type of program we offer, there's so much regulations with it that we're still, cutting through the red tapes and things like that so that we can provide it to all the states in the U.S.
Yes, that would be terrific. And I know you probably know this, Quan, because I'm finding this more and more. People don't know about resources in their own backyard. They just aren't aware of it because they may not have needed it before, and so they don't know. So could you tell what states that caregiver homes are in?
Sure. I mean, give me a quick moment. I'm going to pull up the map.
Sure.
Believe it or not, I apologize. I don't know it off the top of my head.
That's okay. That's all right. While you look for that, I'm going to ask you this question. What is this for all ages? Like if you have a sick child to someone who is elderly or middle-aged who might have young onset Alzheimer's?
So So caregiver homes in Massachusetts, and I'm going to talk mostly about Massachusetts only because that is the area that I live in, but the rules and regulations are a little bit different for each state. And you can find detailed information about the qualifications on our website, caregiverhomes.com. If listeners out there are interested in finding more about what's being offered in this state. For the state of Massachusetts, though, so our program is called Adult Family Care or Adult Foster Care Program, and it is age 16 years or older. So it's anybody who cannot safely live alone due to whether it's medical, physical, cognitive, or behavioral difficulties, they would be the one that can qualify. So it's not just for the elderly or the senior, but it's really ages 16 and older because, for example, if we have a child or a young adult, as some of us like to call 16 years and 17-year-olds, who's autistic or have Down syndrome as an example, and have some difficulties and are living with family, those are some of the family members that we support.
That is great, and I really hope that they have that eventually in New Jersey, because in New Jersey they have closed down a lot of the state facilities. And these individuals went out into group homes that were not the best shape, let me put it that way, or in the best areas. And a lot of them ended up being homeless. So I think it's great to give family support. And also some of the families were upset because their loved ones were being moved from a place where they lived almost their whole life to a place that's 2-3 hours away. And when you're 80-something years old, you may not be able to drive 2 to 3 hours away to see your child, your adult child. So I think that's great. That really makes me happy to hear that Caregiver Homes, helps the caregivers to be able to have their loved one at home with support. I think that's terrific. I like that. See, I'm very.
Thank you.
You can tell I'm very passionate about that because it's, I've worked with the severely disabled I was a nurse in a state facility for almost 14 years, and a lot of those clients could have lived in the community, but back in the 60s, this is when this institution was opened in 1965, they weren't accepted in the community. And so people placed their loved ones in institutions. So I'm really happy to see more acceptance in society, out in the communities, and more supports being given.
Yes, exactly. That is our goal. I mean, that's the funny thing why I kind of basically took this position is because I've used to volunteer and I would talk about this program before I officially took on this position, and I would do like health events. I would attend health events and talk about the program, how we basically provide emotional and a little bit of financial stipend to the family that's caring for a loved one inside their home. And a lot of people would come up to me and say, I wish I knew about your program 3 years ago when I was caring for my mom who had dementia. This would have been helpful. Not only does it help me a little bit financially because they had to cut down their hours at work to kind of help take care of mom, so they would go part-time. Or, back then there wasn't too much of remote work. Now, definitely see more remote work, so that kind of actually helps too. And, with our program, it's not what the amount of money the caregiver makes or anything like that. So they could do a combination of, working part-time and taking care of their loved ones at home. So a lot of people would say, I wish I had this program or knew about this program so that they can help take care of their mom or dad or whomever better and have the support that they need to continue. Because, like you said, November is National Caregivers Month. And I agree with you. Every month should be National Caregivers Month because it is not a easy job. It is definitely not an easy job. And there are days where you feel rewarded and there's days that you want to give up. But, we're hoping that with a program like ours, with Caregivers Home, we can help support the caregivers in their time of need. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So your program, the community, not the community, you are the community liaison, the caregiver homes, so someone doesn't have to be like on Medicaid or Medicare to qualify?
So the person that's being cared for does have to be on Medicaid.
Oh, they do?
Right, but the caregiver does not have to be. The caregiver, it doesn't get affected. We do pay the stipend to the caregiver for taking care of the person in the home, and the person has to have Medicaid in order to qualify, yes. Okay,
because this is important, Quan, for people to know this, the financial restrictions, the rules, because I find this is a total disgrace here in America, and I'm very vocal. It's a shame when people have to divorce their spouses to get financial help. That's really sad.
It's really sad, and I have to tell you that I have seen that, unfortunately. Because also in the state of Massachusetts, if you are legally married to the person that you're caring for, unfortunately, you do not qualify. So there have been instances. Now, we're not aware that they're doing it for this purpose until, later on. As a care manager, in my former role, I would do home visits, and then I eventually get to know the family, because we keep the same clients. So you get to know the person, after, like 3 or 4 visits, you become family yourself, and they would disclose the information like, we don't have anybody else. We only have each other. Our kids are grown, and they have moved out of state, and we just have each other, husband and wife. And in order to qualify for this program, we just got a divorce, and we're still living together and getting access to programs like this. And unfortunately, we have to follow the rules and guidelines of what has been given to us, even if we don't agree.
Right. And I've heard stories of that. The spouses get divorced, but they still love them, and they live with them and take care of them. Yep. But they have to do it to get help, and that's what I think is a total disgrace. And I don't care if anyone gets offended that I said that, because I'm from New Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl, and I just say it like it is. Yeah, it's sad. And do you work with the VA veterans to give veterans help?
So yes. So I have done multiple presentations for agencies that assist with veterans and things like that, and senior centers that have veterans attending. So we do work with veterans. So, we have different qualifications. So if the veterans meet those qualifications, we definitely assist them with that, because we know that a lot of veterans do live with family, and we want to be able to help them. So I always try to connect with agencies that work directly with veterans.
That's terrific. And a lot of people don't know that the VA does offer a lot of assistance. So if you're a veteran out there, or a spouse or partner of a veteran, call your VA and ask, because I think they change benefits of maybe every year or whenever. So to be on top of things. And I also suggest to people, seek a lawyer who specializes in Veterans Administration benefits. It's very important to go to the proper lawyer for help. I just want to say that. What would you like people to know about caregiver homes, Quan?
Well, as I mentioned, what I really like to mention is a lot of people are already taking care of their loved ones inside their home. Because that's just what we do for family. We take care of grandmother, or we take care of our mothers, siblings, brother, sisters, aunts, and uncle. And a lot of people are not aware that there is services that they are entitled to, and that it's okay to seek help, and it's okay to take advantage of those services, programs like ours, where we're here to pretty much educate, provide financial stipend, support emotionally, and provide whatever resources that they need in order to better take care of themselves as a family caregiver and also to take care of their loved ones. So there is no shame. I know there's a lot of shame sometimes out there where caregivers are like, oh, well, this is my mom. And they feel shameful when they feel like they're overwhelmed. They feel like, oh, I should be able to do this. I shouldn't feel what I'm feeling now. But no, that's not the case. It's not an easy job. Taking care of a loved one, especially because, you sometimes you end up fighting and especially, with different medical conditions and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that's out of our control, like, families that have dementia and Alzheimer. There's a lot of things that have to be learned and a lot of mental changes within yourself because, as somebody who's seen dementia and Alzheimer, for example, by visiting families and talking to families, I've seen changes. I've seen they say, oh, she's not my mom anymore. She's a totally different person, or they progressively either become violent or, withdrawn. So it's so difficult. So please take advantage of programs like ours. I'm biased because I love Caregivers Home, and I think we provide a great service to family, and we're there. We're there for families whenever. Now, what we have been doing during the pandemic is that we have been doing this for even before the pandemic. So every family that comes to our program, we provide them a tablet because what we do is we keep constant communication with the family. So we'll have them send us like a daily note, kind of like, hey, how's, for example, how's mom doing today? Is she taking all her medication? Is she going to doctor's appointment? Is she being compliant? Is there any issues that we should be aware of? Do you need help with anything? So every day the caregiver sends us a little note, of what's going on in the household so that we know that they're getting the right support and resources for them. So that's my takeaway. Don't be afraid to seek for help, and also be educated on all the available resources that is out there, and don't be afraid to take advantage of those resources.
Oh, I love you, Kwan. I love what you just said. I say that myself. I total agreement with you. Yes, I was a caregiver to my husband and my mother-in-law, and I was a professional caregiver. So the caregivers sometimes make promises to their loved ones that they can't keep, such as, oh, I promised I would never place my loved one in a facility. Well, sometimes things happen and you have to place your loved one. Doesn't mean you fail them. And I always tell people, go for help. This is a hard job. You can't do it alone. Trust me, you cannot do it alone. And I know from experience, it was my son and I doing tag team, taking care of my husband. It's difficult, folks.
Yeah.
And we need to take advantage of resources such as caregiver homes if they're in your area and other resources that are in our area. And this is what I love about what I do, because I'm providing resources out there for people that I wish I knew about when my husband was alive. It's so important, folks, to know about resources. And don't be ashamed to ask for resources and to ask for help. We all need help at some point. And, no one talks about really much about the after effects of caregiving. This is why you need help, because after your journey is over, and it will be over, you need to be in physical, mental shape so you can enjoy the rest of your life, and you have a right to do that. So get the help that you need so that you can enjoy life, because the mortality rate of caregivers is not good. It's going up of caregivers dying before their loved one who has a dementia. So caregivers, you need to take care of yourself. Excuse me.
Exactly.
I know it's difficult.
That's why.
I know.
So that's why,
go ahead,
Betsy, you know how you mentioned that is a perfect example. How you have mentioned you had your son involved taking care of your husband, and you didn't know about all the available resources out there. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. Is I do want everybody to know that there are resources out there. And part of what I do too is if somebody comes to me and say, hey, I'm interested in the program, can you tell me a little bit more? And I go over like the intake process, and I find that they don't qualify because, for example, maybe they don't have the right coverage for health insurance. So we do assist families with getting the right coverage if they qualify, because I do work with other community partners out there. So we can kind of, say, hey, maybe they're just a little bit over income. Let's see what we can do to see if we can get them the right coverage. So we work together as a community to get support for family members. And sometimes also, unfortunately, maybe, changing coverage is not an option because they're a little bit over income and there is no way around it. But I do have a lot of different community partners that do different things that may have resources that can certainly help the family. For instance, programs like the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Associations in Massachusetts, so I have direct contacts with them, and so we can say, okay, maybe you need some help with, okay, what are some of the education that we can provide for communication with somebody who has dementia? How to communicate with somebody who has dementia. So we can provide that type of resource as an example. Or we end up saying, how can I get a wheelchair for my mom for a decent cost or for free? So those are some of the things that I do. I try to work with other community partners to find all the resources that is out there for caregivers and for their loved ones that they're caring for, to just help them, whether it's in my program or not in my program.
And you said you provide emotional support. Do you provide mental health counseling, or do you refer them to different mental health resources?
Yep. So we refer them to different resources, so outside counseling. But that's why it's so great. Like, we have direct contacts with mental health providers, and what we do in our program is we stay connected. So, we have a lot of conferences where we can conference with the mental health provider, we can conference with the family, and we can conference whoever, and then we work together in developing, a care plan that, or goals, or anything that the family would like to see done. We try to help them complete those goals or improve on what's going on inside the household.
That is terrific. I just very passionate about what you're doing, Kwan, and I can totally relate to your passion, because you want people to get help and you want people to know about the resources. And this is for the whole state of Massachusetts. I can't talk this morning. Caregiver homes. That's for the whole state.
That's
Massachusetts.
Correct. It's for the whole state of Massachusetts, right.
And to someone who's living in Massachusetts hears this, how do they get in contact with you, Kwan?
So they can email me directly, or they can give me a call, whatever is the easiest. I'll just tell you, my phone number is 508-380-3071. My email is a little bit more complicated because of my last name, so it's qbrewington@caregiverhomes.com. That's QBREWINGTON@caregivershome.com. Or, just go on our website at caregiverhomes.com for all information throughout the United States of what's available, and our representative will reach out.
That's terrific. I'm so excited about this program, and I'm so glad that Jeannie White, who's station manager, Pastoral Talk Radio Network, told me about you, and we connected, because it's important to know about resources such as yours, the Caregiver Homes. And it's important to know what's out there, folks. You may not need it now, but you might need it down the road. No one knows, right. Things change very quickly.
Absolutely. So, Betsy, going back to the question, you told me that you were interested to know where Caregiver Home is providing support right now. So I do have the list up. So I'll tell you the states currently now. Remember, the regulations and rules are a little bit different for each state, so I would say the best thing to do is just go on our website. But right now we are in Connecticut, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and South Dakota.
Wow. South Dakota. That's, you know what, I have to say this. Because South Dakota, to me, I think of like it's pretty, not unpopulated compared to like New Jersey. New Jersey is overpopulated, and we definitely could use caregiver homes here in New Jersey. Let me tell you, we could use a program like this here.
Right.
So that's interesting. Well, I hope in the near future that Caregiver Homes will provide services here in New Jersey for families. I'm surprised they're not in New York, because that's also another very populated state.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Who
knows
that's
what's behind
interesting.
the scene, with politics and regulations, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. That's true. Well, thank you, Quan Brewington, for coming on, chatting with Betsy, and I appreciate what you do. And thank you for what you do, being a community liaison and helping caregivers to be able to do their job and to give them support. And thank you to your staff, too, who helps. I appreciate that. And, folks, it's tough being a caregiver, I know. I was one. I still am. Still am a caregiver. I have to remind myself, just a different type of caregiver. I'm a caregiver to my son who has special needs. But it is hard being a caregiver, especially if you're someone who has any type of dementia. And, if you have someone who is severely autistic, that's not easy either. So there are many different types of caregivers out there. Hug yourself. Tell yourself you're doing a good job. And if you're looking for a support group, I have a support group, #Kick Alzheimer's Mass Movement on Facebook. You can look it up. Everyone's welcome to join. And I want to thank everyone for listening. If you missed any of this podcast, you can catch it again on your favorite podcast outlet. It is free to subscribe to Chatting with Betsy. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, CastBox, just to name a few. And I want to thank Jeannie White for connecting me with Quan and for writing the blog, producing the show. Please read the blog for further information. There will be information on how to contact Quan Brewington and how you can contact Caregiver Homes. I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, CEO, Passion World Talk Radio Network, for giving people a platform to speak and to talk and to help other people. This is so important. And I just want to say, in a world where you could be anything, to be kind. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And to all the people who are the Jewish faith, happy Hanukkah. That's next week. I can't believe how fast this year is going. And if you can't have a happy Thanksgiving for whatever reason, then I hope you have a peaceful one. And that's it for today. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network. Bye, everybody.